Jung, a project consultant from ICHCAP, which is the International Information and Networking Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you all for your presence among us here today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I hope all of you joining here feel please comfortable using Engage Metaverse platform. Thank you very much again for joining this event. Actually, trying to organize the event on this platform was our challenge, but hopefully it will help all of us be able to communicate in a new way in the near future. So it's now time to start off 2021 Intangible Cultural Heritage Youth Summit. Working with the framework of the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the ICH, UNESCO supported youth engagement and provided a training on the convention's concepts and mechanisms to the youth in different countries. Under the UNESCO's vision and mission, ICHCAP has been emphasized the pivotal role of youth in safeguarding ICH. In order to develop the vision in the role of youth, we organized the ICH Youth Summit. Now, let me briefly go over the whole view of today's meeting. This meeting will feature 4 sessions. First of all, there will be the keynote speech with the beginning, and we have invited the 9 youth professionals from various countries who will present on ICH safeguarding and exploration of initiatives in respective countries. After that, we will have an open discussion between panelists regarding ICH, youth, and cooperation. Some of you also put the comments or ideas on that afterwards. And finally, we will do declarations on launching for the ICH Youth Forum Preparatory Committee. Before we start today's meeting in earnest, we will have a keynote presentation from Dr. Dongbit Han, Chief of Culture Unit, UNESCO Bangkok Office. She has been working to promote the ratification and implementation of UNESCO's 6 cultural conventions, including the 2003 ICH Convention and coordinating a number of regional projects in Southeast Asia and the Asia Pacific. She is especially interested in promoting the role of culture and cultural heritage, both tangible and intangible, in sustainable development and in ensuring that local communities both participate and benefit from the protection of their own heritage. Dr. Han is an anthropologist with extensive knowledge and experience in Southeast Asia and international development. She will give a presentation on the title of Significance of Youth, Role and Engagement in Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage. Dr. Han, please deliver us your presentation.
Thank you, Yoon. You can see that all these new technology is ways beyond me, but it is a very, very good experience to see and actually to put myself in the shoes of youth, because I think it is really our future generation and our intangible cultural heritage are really in the hands of youth. So I think it is really a good time for us to start exploring all this new technology. So thank you very much to ICHCAP for inviting me to provide this keynote speech, and a very warm welcome to all the youth participants who are joining us today. So you are here today because you have been working on ICH, you are cultural enthusiasts, and in many cases you study about culture and ICH in universities. You have jobs in the role dealing with intangible cultural heritage. But just because now, as we embark on a new journey together, I would like just to focus a part of my presentation on putting us on the same page about ICH and its importance to safeguarding it. Some of the key principles and concepts that I think that we all should keep in mind as we go down the road of working together. Can I get the next slide, please? Can I get the next slide? Okay, so we always hear about the word intangible and cultural heritage, right? But a lot of time you also hear living heritage. And in all cases, living heritage and intangible and cultural heritage are interchangeable. Intangible heritage means it's living. It doesn't mean there is any dead intangible cultural heritage because there is not such concept. So living heritage is very diverse. You have seen, you have experienced and practiced yourselves even oral traditions, different forms of performing arts, music, crafts, traditional knowledge about nature. All these are domains within the framework of living heritage. And living heritage, you can find it everywhere. It's not necessary that it can only be living heritage when it's recognized in some of UNESCO's list. We see very often that media say, oh, UNESCO recognized such and such element as intangible cultural heritage. It is not true. UNESCO doesn't recognize, doesn't designate any elements to be ICH or living heritage. It is a living heritage in itself. What UNESCO does with this list is to inscribe certain elements on the list as per the recommendation and nomination of the third parties to really highlight the diversity of intangible cultural heritage in our world. Being in the list, whether it is UNESCO list or whether being in any national level list, doesn't make one element of intangible cultural heritage better than another element that have not been inscribed. So that I wanted to just get it straight from the beginning. We have transmission is the keyword for intangible cultural heritage. So for intangible cultural heritage, what we practice and what we safeguard and what we transmit is the process that are intangible. That's why it's called intangible cultural heritage. So whether it is a knowledge to do a certain craft item, a skills, how to dance, a knowledge about nature and how you can do rotational farming so that you can provide livelihood for your community. So those are the things that are the key focus of our work in intangible cultural heritage. Of course, you could also do and protect the different objects, which is often referred to as associated objects of the intangible cultural heritage. But a piece of basket or a piece of a piece of basket or a piece of textile, for example, is not by definition an intangible cultural heritage element in itself. So when we talk about living heritage or intangible cultural heritage, we focus a lot on the safeguarding concept. And what does it mean, safeguarding? Safeguarding is you work to safeguard the viability of the heritage element. So for cultural heritage, ICH, we don't really use words like protect or preserve because they are meaning something that in static. You preserve something that is not really changeable. You try to keep it intact. But then for intangible cultural heritage, it is really opposite. You really have to safeguard for it to be viable, for it to continue to be practiced and continue to be used for future generation. What it is really a key focus of the work in living heritage is the community. Those people who are bearers of certain heritage, those people who practice certain heritage, and those people who transmit the heritage to future generation. So in all our work, it is important to really have very strong relationship with the community. We need to respect them and also to really engage them in the participation of all the work that we do. One of the elements of, one of the aspects of living heritage we talk about is also inclusive. So it doesn't mean like one heritage is ours and then other heritage is theirs. We are really talking about these different shared elements. Many countries, after many years, many centuries, many decades of people migration, we ended up having very similar heritage elements in one country to the next, or even within one communities to the next. So this whole idea of how ICH can really become an element to connect people, to really build social cohesion, to really bring peace and to avoid conflict is really, really important. You have seen sometimes countries fight with each other in a way because, oh, how can you nominate that heritage, or how can you nominate my heritage? And I hope that now being a part of this forum and network, you could really be the one who explain to people that, yes, you understand it wrong. It is not really, heritage is, ICH is not really something that we fight about, because it is inclusive and it is supposed to be shared. And the last thing that I wanted to comment about the intangible cultural heritage is constantly changing. So we don't talk about concepts like authenticity or origin when you talk about intangible cultural heritage. It's continuously changing. It has its own life cycle, and it was born, it lives its life, and it can die as well. And of course, being a global citizen, we do our best to try to protect, to safeguard the viability of this ICH. But then once the ICH doesn't have any meaning in the society anymore, it doesn't have any meaning to local communities anymore, and then it would die, and it gives form to new forms of intangible culture. So that is quite natural process to see. So for our job, we still should do our job to safeguard it, but then yes, I mean, once it doesn't have any meaning anymore, and we could let it go. Next, please. So we are doing all our work within the framework of the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. All what I have just presented earlier, that is something that our convention has told us about. So the convention is really an international instrument. Many countries have ratified. So far, 180 countries in the world, including 40 countries in Asia Pacific, have ratified this convention. And they, by ratifying this convention, they are obligated to safeguard the ICH, or the living heritage, in their country so that it can be transmitted for future generations. They will do it by developing policies. They will do it by providing capacity building activities. They will do it by awareness raising activities. And they will do it essentially by all they are doing is to create an enabling environment for the ICH to be practiced in the countries. So as the objective of the convention is to ensure that living heritage can be respected, practiced, and transmitted from one generation to the next. Next one, please. And can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. And when we talk about intangible cultural heritage, you often also hear, and even beyond the context of intangible cultural heritage, you often hear about the Sustainable Development Goals. Many of you probably are very aware of this diagram up there. And I just want to highlight a bit on the interconnection between safeguarding ICH and sustainable development. So we have seen, probably many of you do work in the areas of bringing ICH and contributing to sustainable development to showcase that how ICH can really contribute to achieve on these sustainable development goals. Whether that is economic development, that is very obvious. Many of the ICH elements can contribute to improving livelihoods of the local communities. That is quite obvious. But then we also have other elements like social cohesion. It really brings people together. It can be like a time, even during COVID, for example, many people said that their living heritage is really something that had been very helpful for them to go through this difficult time. We see that living heritage can play a big role in achieving environmental sustainability through maximizing the usage of all this indigenous knowledge that had been accumulated for many generations. So why safeguarding ICH can really contribute significantly to achieving sustainable development? I would also like to highlight that ICH really needs a sustainable development environment for it to thrive and for it to live on. Because if you are not providing an enabling environment, if you're not providing a sustainable development situation, and it is really difficult for ICH to live on. Can I get the next slide? So for example, you could see that there are many threats that ICH is currently facing. I'm sure that if you go into the dive into the heritage on the convention website, you will see many of these threats, and also how current ICH is being impacted by the current condition. So in order to really overcome all these threats, we need an enabling environment. We need people to continue to practice and to transmit this ICH. And it is really, you have a big role to play. Because if you just imagine a river, or a processing line, if suddenly the youth are removed, the youth are not there anymore, you are really the bridge to connect the older generation with the future. So you are really being in a great position to help on this ICH to live on. Next slide, please. So in your work in ICH, I just want to maybe highlight the 3 roles that youth as you sitting here can really play. The first one, you could keep clicking. So the first role you could play is to practice, because all of us, we have ICH within us. We have many ICH elements. We celebrate, our families celebrate, our communities celebrate. Can you please just click on the, continue to click until, yeah. So no, go back please. Go back please. So do practice it. Can I go to the previous slide? So please do practice it, because sometimes you are too busy trying to safeguard other people's heritage and you forget about yourself. You forget about your own heritage. For example, when you are supposed to go home to join your family to celebrate this big New Year festival, but you are too busy safeguarding someone else's heritage, then you said that, oh, you cannot go back. But in that sense, it's not really a very good way to go, because that is really something that identifies who you are. That is really something that holds your community together. So first and foremost, I think it is important for us to think about our own heritage and to practice it. The second one is how we focus on safeguarding. And safeguarding, with this, we could talk about our own heritage, but you could also talk about other heritage that you are passionate about, the heritage of the communities you are working with. And for safeguard here, as I mentioned earlier, it is to ensure the viability of the ICH elements. So you can do many things. You can identify, document, research, and do inventories. I think many of you do that. You could preserve and protect associate objects. I think some of you will talk about that today. But then it's also important to promote and present and recognize this ICH, to raise awareness about it, and then find ways to transmit it to the next generation, whether to do it through local schools or whether you do it through a local museums or with local culture office, many things that you can do with them within the safeguarding realm. And then another thing you could really think, and this is where you could really bring your youthful attitude in, is to innovate. Because ICH, it doesn't have to be something in the past. It doesn't have to be so ancient. It doesn't have to be something that only old people care about. And the fact that you are here today really proves that. And for the past 2 days of the World Forum, we talked a lot about how technology can help to innovate and find new ways to safeguard and practice ICH. But then there are many other ways to innovate beyond technology, and how you could do that to turn that into cultural and creative industries, how to bring ICH to this kind of new realm of creative and cultural products and services that really have the dual meanings, both the social values and also the economic values of the social products and services. And why we are doing all this, please remember about the ethical principles. You probably are aware of that. You can also learn about that from the convention website. But then being ethical while you are working with safeguarding ICH is very important. And one of the key ethical principles is going back to what I highlighted about an aspect of ICH earlier, is to really have the community at the center of all the work that you are doing. Next one, please. So this is the next one is just a slide of some of the groups and some of the businesses and some of the work that I've seen that really have been creative. It doesn't have anything to do with technology, for example, but it is really a new way for youth to be more engaged and more interested in youth, and they can also contribute more to sustainable development. Next one, please. So it is really a great, you could go until the end. You could really, I'm really excited to see that we are going to have this network, this forum coming up. And it is a really great way to connect on the youth who are interested in this topic. And I just have a few keywords that I would like to share with you why we are thinking of shaping the actions, shaping the activities for this network. So first, I think this network should be inclusive in a way that it would, of course, we consider about the language differences, we consider about the digital divide, but then also I think being inclusive in a way that it should really also be open to people who are from very different backgrounds than us, people who have never been working in the culture sector before. Because if you see that culture really have an integrating role in culture development, even if we work with engineers, we work with architects, we work with agriculturists, we work with doctors, they already have their own view about culture, and they can also, through their job, contribute to safeguarding ICH. So that would be a really interesting collaboration that we could set up when we bring people of different backgrounds together and they can work on different elements to safeguard them. And the second one is action. We would really like to see that you also come up with actions from your own point of view, and you could propose it to ICHCAP, for example, because you are really on the ground. You are really the one who work every day with your ICH. You work with your peers. And I think really to see how we would have a lot to learn from you. So even propose to UNESCO what you think would be some of the interesting things that youth would be interested in doing. We very much look forward to hear that from you. And the last one is to really collaborate together for advocate for policy change. Because at the end of the day, policies, even sometimes we don't really live on it every day. We don't hear about that. We don't talk about that often. But policy are very important because at the end of the day, no matter how much we do at the individual level, unless we bring it together as the collective voices to really get to the changes that government could bring together to in the form of policy, it is really hard to be able to safeguard all these ICH that are currently existing in the region. So to bring your voices to government through the advocacy channel is really, really important. And I hope that through this network, now that we have the collective, that we can work together here, and that will be really something that I hope that we could look forward to do. Next one, please. And just at the last one is, yeah, we are living in a world full of challenge, and COVID now is also making it doubly, triply hard for everyone. There's a lot of crisis to manage, how to ensure the resilience and sustainability, how to bring in justice and well-being for the communities we work with, for everyone around us. And really, we see that, yes, you are there and you have a great role to play to safeguard our heritage, to promote our creativity, and to really mobilize culture for sustainable development. And we really have a big hope in you, and we're looking forward to collaborating you in this next journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Han, for your insightful speech. As you mentioned, the use in safeguarding and transmitting intangible cultural heritage, and even though youth face some challenges in this field, they are the next generation to pass over ICH and have a great potential to safeguard ICH further for sustainable development. Thank you very much for your intriguing presentation. Dr. Han, please have a seat. Should be great.
Do I sit yet? Oh no, now I sit. Okay.
Yeah, it works. And then the following is presentation session. Before the session starts, I'd like to quickly suggest in advance, if you have any questions during speaker's presentation, we will have the Q&A session for a few minutes after all speakers are done. Please keep your questions until all of them are done. And so the first speaker of the session is Ms. Puja Amataya from Nepal. She'll be sharing her presentation on civil engineering perspective on cultural heritage. Ms. Puja, the floor is yours.
Am I being heard?
Yeah, clearly.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Namaste, I'm Pooja Amatya. I'm from Nepal. By profession, I'm a civil engineer, and I have been working in preservation of heritage buildings in Kathmandu Valley, that is the capital of Nepal, since 2015, after my graduation. Today, I'm going to present you about the works that I have been doing currently in Kathmandu University, Department of Music, where I have been engaged as a project officer. And I will be talking a little about how the cultural heritage is being seen by civil engineers. Next, please. Actually, Kathmandu University Department of Music has been doing a rebuilding project, which is rebuilding Tripureshwar Mahadev Temple, Satals in garden area. It is one of the heritage sites in Kathmandu Valley, located at Tripureshwar. And the name of the location, the place is named after this. It is a temple, and the name of the location is named after this temple. You can see in this picture a two-story temple, pagoda-style temple, but in actual it is a 3-storied, and after 2015 Gorkha earthquake it was collapsed. The top roof of the building was collapsed. Next please. This is a picture of the temple from a Bagmati river. It's a river in Kathmandu Valley which extends from north to south of the country. And this is a picture taken long back ago. Actually, the temple was built in 1818 AD, like more than 200 years ago. And next, please. You might be figuring out why the Department of Music is engaged in this kind of project where it is a sort of construction project of an old heritage building. The main vision of the department is to rebuild and restore this area and to cultivate the concept of cultural conservation through the amalgamation of not just the tangible heritage, but the amalgamation of tangible and intangible musical heritage of not just this Kathmandu Valley or just this place, but the entire country. Next, please. And there are lots of objectives in this of this work, like not just the preservation of this temple or this area, but we are also more figuring out in the, as Ms. Han said earlier, it's a living heritage, and since it's a living heritage, daily people come to this place just to worship the god here because it's a Hindu temple, and lots of people come daily in the morning at 10 and in the evening at 5 to worship the god, and it's still working. Like it's a living heritage, and the intangible elements that are engaged in this temple and the surrounding areas are being evaluated and just we try to conserve it. Actually, what I have been doing in this project is the civil engineer's perspective is to look after not just the construction projects, but to just document these things, the intangible sections, like the worshippings of temple and preservation of their knowledge into my research. Next, please. If you see this picture, it is a picture of the temple after 2015 earthquake, where the topmost roof and the pinnacle is like gone, and it was taken at that time in 2015. Next, please. And this is a picture after we constructed this temple. This is a tangible construction, definitely. It is after we constructed it. It's a current picture that we have. And there are these are the surrounding buildings that the temple has, where these spaces are occupied by the squatters and illegal institutions, which we have constructed into our new constructions, into its original forms. Next, please. These are the new original forms. Like the buildings were like this before. Because nobody, and it's like this now. Like government is not able to put its effort in all of the aspects, so a university has to do it, not just the exact particular university, but the department. This is a picture of a pinnacle that was that fall off during 2015 earthquake, and it's like 19 feet tall pinnacle, gold gilded pinnacle. It took 9 months to preserve it and restore it and bring it back to its original position. like all the traditional workers who are involved in this project are like there. Next, please. And this is what I have been doing as a civil engineer. This is a cross-section of a pinnacle that I showed you in the previous slide. This is a cross-section of that particular pinnacle, which includes the wooden section of the pinnacle that are in gray colored, and the outline of the pinnacle that is just the outlines that are gold gilded copper sheets. And all of these knowledges are like traditional knowledge that we do not have as a young generation people. And what I'm trying to do, actually I'm doing research in this project. What I'm trying to do is to document all of these things, that the knowledge that people have, the old people have, that are old generations have. They have a very different technique in constructing these architectural, beautiful, traditional buildings, and the wood carvings, and the structural. I'm doing the structural analysis of these buildings and how the old engineering works is what I'm trying to find out, which would be more than great knowledge for young generations, because we are more focused, engineering courses are more focused towards concrete and steel structures. We lack that ancient technology and mechanism, which is an intangible knowledge that everybody should have in today's generation, at least to the local society. Next, please. This is a young carver we have in our work who just uses these tools, if you can see on the right hand side, to carve this piece of art, which is one of the parts of a window of that temple. And we do not use machineries, machines and equipments. We use our traditional ways, and I'm trying to document them. I'm trying to document their knowledge they have, that the knowledge their ancestors have transmitted to them into a paper, so that everybody is accessible to such kind of intangible knowledge heritage. Next, please. And we rarely use machine new technologies in our works, like these ladies who have been just cleaning a well-carved, a precisely carved window into, just to preserve, so that we can preserve each and every element of the carvings. They use their knowledge, they use their traditional techniques to just clean them, and that is also needs to be documented. Next, please. This is a roof laying technique that we have in our pagoda-style temples. We call them chingatis, laid on mud mortars in wooden roofs, and we lack such young generation people who do not want to work in this traditional ways. They are more towards more modern technologies, and what we project are trying to do is trying to attract the young generation into the traditional works, so that we can preserve the knowledge that we have since 200 years, more than 200 years ago. Next, please. And this is a picture of one of our teams that we began with young people. And if you see the person with the blue helmet in the middle, he is the one behind all of these vision of getting the intangible and tangible together. It is his idea to amalgamate intangible and tangible heritage. Like he's Dr. Lochin Rizal from Nepal. He's an ethnomusicologist. He's a musician. The first ethnomusicologist we have in Asia, and it's all his vision, and he's a leader in whatever we've been doing. Just a few I would like to say a few words about this music. Like this is a local music that is used, performed in lots of parts of our Nepal. And I'm not a musician though, but I would like to explain a little about it. This is a transmission of knowledge from a grandfather to a grandchild. And this is an intangible knowledge. It's an intangible musical knowledge that we are trying to get into the product that we are doing. And before we do this, we need a cultural, tangible place to do it. So we are just preserving a tangible heritage to get this kind of knowledge to our tangible heritage, this kind of intangible musical heritage to a university. Next, please. These are all the musicians that Dr. Rizal has in his mind to get them into our universities, stars, and get these things, music, into our Department of Music courses, so that people are not just getting all the modern musical instruments into knowledge, but the original local musics into knowledge as well. Next, please. And these are some of the pictures that represent the music of Nepal. Like this is from Tarai region, that is a flatland in Nepal, and the previous one was from a hilly region, like the mid of Nepal. Next, please. Thank you so much. This is a statue of Tripura Sundari. She is the one who built the temple that I explained to you in 1880 in the name of her husband, for the remembrance of her husband 200 years ago. And what I have been doing is documenting each and everything, not just the tangible engineering works, but the intangible works and knowledge that we have in constructing, and the traditional things, everything into one document. And that's it. That's what we have been doing in Nepal, in here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Pooja. And so, so please have a seat on your location. Thank you. And the next would be the Miss Musumi Chaudhuri from India. She'll be sharing her presentation on safeguarding and promoting her community's heritage. Please, Musumi, I'll give the floors.
Namaste. I'm from India, West Bengal, Purulia. My name is Mausumi. I am Mausumi Chaudhuri, a young Chau dancer from Purulia, India, West Bengal. A new vista in the traditional art form Chau with zeal and determination is my only aim. Chau is a martial dance form, Plateau region of India, which was inscribed in the UNESCO representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2010. Purulia Chau is a vibrant and colorful mass dance with vigorous and bold movement. Previously, only men performed Chau, as dance is characterized by acrobatic movements. With the help of my guru, domain. Born and brought up amongst the Chau dancers, I always wondered why it was not practiced by women. The rhythm of the instruments, the colorful costumes, and the grandeur of the play always attract my soul. My father Jagannath Chaudhary is a famous chow dancer. At a small age, I used to wear my father's costumes and tried to support and trained me to become what I am today. My
Musumi, I think your internet connection is not that good. We can't hear your voice. There is a space. Musumi? I think due to our time limitations, sorry for Musumi for this. I think I'm going to move on to the next speaker, Mr. Fradik from Laos. He will be presenting on the intangible cultural heritage interpretation through puppets. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to say some information to you today. My name is Pornprasert Kelson. I am from Luang Prabang, Lao PDR. I would like to share part of my research and experience and practice on intangible cultural heritage that have been done under North Proud Group, a local cultural group of Luang Prabang. So today I would like to, this is a kind of concept and in practice what I have been done and from my experience too. The topic is intangible cultural heritage through puppet. So please, next slide, please. Yes, Luang Prabang is a World Heritage town since 1995. OUV association between urban landscape and nature landscape. At the meantime, the tourist destination as well as development and urbanization hub. However, living heritage through intangible cultural heritage is not integrated into outstanding universal value in Luang Prabang. Therefore, I try to interpret cultural meaning and value as well as intangible cultural heritage to puppet. Puppet is represent many category of ICH. So the next, please. Yes, the puppet on that on my research and in my group. So I saw that the puppet is a tool for cultural interpretation of ICH domain. That I found. This is I compare with domain of Convention 2003. So here you can saw the picture. This is a wood for our to show in the puppet at the temple. This is all 5 domain we found. I found. Next slide, please. Here is the concept of ICH through puppet. The left side you saw the bird and you saw this oral tradition we have. We have the old language to performance. Or we have a traditional craftsmanship through the puppet that we including embroidery, lacquerware, and weaving too. That include that inside. We also the concept and knowledge and practice concerning nature and universe. We have the story that the puppet when we play that associate with the natural landscape and that's some word we talking about the some spiritual, some the spirit, including the landscape. This puppet, when we play on the temple, every festival we have to put puppet to play and entertain with the people. Every event we do, and also we have a ritual to respect our Hanamis and Brahmanis spirit or whatever we have, and after that we perform that we have including the music and everything through puppet. I would found the puppets is a cultural heritage representation, and here and on the right pictures that is the cultural heritage interpretation. Next slide, please. This is our Nopal group. Nopal group, we are local group called Nopals. Our mission is promote to support the traditional practice and conservation process both of tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Group, we focus 4 activity. We focus on performancing, flower arrangement, and textile. We focus in gold thread embroidery. And gold leaf, this is a technical when we put on the puppet and stenciling. Yes, we carry out free workshop. We free for the children and workshop to showcase the local tradition art and craft are open free for them. Next slide, please. Yes, my outcome through my research and experiencing the fostering of ICH and also cultural and landscape interpretation. This is mean cultural heritage interpretation, cultural heritage. Also, tourism interpretation for tourism. That means when we do the cultural heritage, the local people playing, they very happy to do that. And when they do for to open to the show for the tourism, that the guests also happy too. The guests can play and enjoy with the puppet. And also the capacity building and development. Also, the group can be income distribution from when we performance, not only the puppeteer, but including musicians and also temple. The kid can get income from that. After here, I have some what I do. I make a video for the last one. Can you open the video? My short video. What we do. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Frederick. Thank you for your speech on this session. And please have a seat and go back to your position. And next presenter would be the doctor from China. He will be delivering on the different roles of college students from Korea and China in the inheritance of ceramic intangible cultural heritage. Welcome to
Yes. Hi. Hi. Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Han Lu, and in Chinese, and you can just call me Han. Yes. Please. Next, please. Yeah, I'm from China, and I've been working on my PhD in traditional ceramic art at Korean National University of Cultural Heritage since 2017. It's a great honor to come here as a speaker of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Youth Forum. Whoa. Next, please. Yeah, as I just mentioned, I'm a Chinese person who studies traditional ceramic art in South Korean. You know that as a Chinese person, especially your country's name is China, which means ceramics in English. There is a question that comes up very often. While walking, you take taxi, and even talking to the other my friends who also learn ceramics in the South Korean. They also ask, why does a person from China go to another country to study China? In fact, that problem has been bothering me in my first years here. But for now, I think I have found the answer. Next, please. This is where I spend my undergraduate life in China. It's Jingdezhen Ceramic Institute, JCI, located in Jingdezhen, which is the capital of ceramic in China. I spent 6 good years in this city. First time to touch clay, first time to burn ceramic, first experience of participating in the exhibition, and selling my work is also where I first met my PhD supervisor. Yeah. Then I followed my PhD supervisor to South Korea, NUCH. The university is not very big, but it's completely different environment from Jingdezhen. So I still learn new things every day here. Yeah. Yeah, next, please. Before I come to South Korean, I didn't know that ceramic intangible cultural heritage education and inheritance system of the two schools and the two countries were so different. The difference can be observed in the ceramic industries of both countries as well. This really surprised me. You must have heard that saying, everything depends on economy. It's also work in the ceramic field. Yeah. The huge market demand for ceramics in China history dictated that the industry needed to be highly industrialized, which means the high division of labor. As a result, the ceramic ICH has been slowly transformed from family oriented to professional, completely freeing itself from the traditional workshop like a production mode, and has continued in Jingdezhen for 1,000 years until today. Yeah. The ceramic itself is a unity of many different skills. The ceramic production process can be broadly divided into several categories, such as clay, glazing, ability, painting, firing, and so on. Against this background of highly market-oriented and industrialized production, the ceramic education system at JCI has also developed a correspondingly high division of labor characteristics. Under the education system of JCI, traditional ceramic skills are divided into different majors for training and passing on to future generations. And there is little overlap between the majors. Yeah. Next, please. Students of each major can focus only on their own major during their school years and quickly make money with the traditional ceramic skills they have learned during their university years after graduation by relying on Jingdezhen's highly developed ceramic industry system. Yes. Yes. Yes, next, please. Yeah, this is also, oh, no. Let's back to them. Yes, thank you. This also objectively reveals the difficulty of survivals of ICH as a profession in today's society. This is a weakened market just for ceramic. There are maybe 3 or 4 markets in Jingdezhen. Yeah, we can sell our works in here. Yes, however, no. Just yeah. However, is undeniable that under this education system, there is also the problem of singularity and fragmentation in the transmission of ceramic ICH skills, which in turn make it difficult for college students to continue make refined ceramic works after leaving Jingdezhen. Next, please. But in here, South Korea is a totally different story. compared to how people early student one ceramic process in the Chinese university ceramics education system. Korean universities are more like traditional teacher apprentice training. Students are required to complete the entire process of clay, lathe, production, firing, and so on during their college years. It's true that the knowledge acquired is much greater than in Zhejiang. South Korean students are more capable of making ceramics independently after leaving school because they have learned the entire process of ceramics. Yes. In addition, the Korean government also provides Korean college students with the opportunity of an intangible cultural heritage qualification examination, which I have never heard of when I was in China. Korean university students inherit a more systematic method of ceramic ICH skills, which objectively contribute to the preservation and development of ceramic ICH skill in Korean. But due to the lack of organized industry system and a wide market, Korean university students, like most of the other ICH inheritors, are facing the difficult situation of not being able to survive on their own after graduation. The environment of ceramic industry in China and the South Korean is different, which has led to a great difference in the status of the transmission and the development of traditional ceramic ICH skills in the two places, and this difference has led to different ceramic education system in the two countries. So from the few experience I have had, it would be a good idea to go directly to experience ICH education in the other school. For example, through exchange and training programs, one can to go another country for at least 6 months and at most a year, which is the direct way to help understand the ceramic ICH education system and even the ICH industrial behind the education system of both countries. And we need to communicate and cooperate to understand each other and broaden our minds. In this respect, I think a meeting like today is really precious. Thank you. Thank you again to everyone for being patient. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Han-lu.
Yes.
So the next presenter would be Dong-Hyun Kim from Korea. He will be presenting on consideration of ways to promote youth participation in local intangible heritage, especially focusing on the case of Kungju, which is part of the South Korea city. Thank you. So the floor is yours, Dong-Hyun Kim.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good afternoon and evening, everyone. I'm Dong-Hyun Kim from Korea National University of Cultural Heritage, a student for the PhD of Cultural Heritage Management. It is a great honor to participate in today's Intangible Heritage Youth Summit and make this presentation. On behalf of our team, I'm planning to present our project, and I hope it will be an opportunity that we can think together to promote youth participation in ICH. Then let's get started. The Kungju Intangible Heritage Safeguarding and Support Project is a project commissioned by the Korea Cultural Heritage Administration, the National Intangible Heritage Center, and Kungju City. Among the intangible heritages located in Kungju-si, 25 are selected and various activities like documentation, symposium are carried out. Next. In particular, a team of graduate students from NUCH is in charge of field research. The rest of the activities for utilization of ICH are handled by the Local Artists Association. The table you see now classifies selected 25 objects to 7 categories on the Korean Cultural Heritage Protection Act. We visited the performance site of 25 heritages and interviewed with the bearer or groups or communities of ICH. This picture is an intangible heritage map showing the location of the heritage on a map. We are working hard to research ICH throughout Kungju City. Look at the picture, please. The man in the picture is the late Dongjin Park, one of the greatest pansori singers ever. He was born and raised in Murungdong, Kungju City. During his lifetime, he devoted himself to the promotion of pansori. Continuing with his maintenance, the Pansori Training Center named after him was established in his birthplace to foster pansori practitioners among the younger generation and carry on the legacy of the traditional songs. However, the number of young bearers declined. I only told you the case of Park Dongjin's pansori, but youth engagement is low in the most of the ICH of Kungju. There are 3 reasons we think. First, the population decline, including the younger generation. It is a common phenomenon not only in Kungju, but also in many regions of Korea. It is so fatal for ICH to decrease in population. That's because those are transmitted from person to person, I mean. The second is the passive attitude of the bearers. During the interview, more than half of them are not conducting programs for residents or citizens. As a result, many citizens were not interested in participation in ICH. The last, it is the absence of integrated platform. The younger generation, represented by the MZ generation, is the one familiar with the internet or ICT-based technology. Nevertheless, there is no other platform to obtain intangible heritage information on the web. To overcome this challenge, stakeholders of intangible heritage, including local government, have to create an environment for youth participation. First is the establishment of an integrated platform. In a short-term way, cultural institutes such as Kungju Cultural Center, Kungju Culture Foundation, Hungnam Institute of History and Culture should be integrated into a single website or application based on their database. This should make it easier for young people to get information on the ICH. Additionally, and fundamentally, we need to create a formal and informal education system. If citizens continue to contact intangible cultural heritage from an early age, they will naturally accept intangible heritage and recognize the importance of its value. This is not simply a method for the current youth generation. It is also planned for young people in future generations. According to them, we should create a continuous and cyclical system and make the youth dive ICH transmitting voluntarily. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dongyan, for your great speech and presentation. It was really insightful. And the next speaker would be the Zhang Xiao from China. She'll be presenting on researching and passing on the knowledge of ancient textiles by young researchers. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon from South Korea. My name is Zhang Xiao. I am a PhD student from Donghua University in China. Now I am a visiting student in Korean National University of Cultural Heritage. My research topic is related to ancient textile materials and technology. Today I'd like to share with you something about ancient textiles as ICH. The topic of my presentation is researching and passing on knowledge of ancient textiles by young researchers. Next, please. Yes. First of all, I'd like to introduce the knowledge of ancient textiles as ICH. Textiles are soft products made of fiber materials. Usually, we make yarns or threads from fibers, then use them to make fabrics by braiding, weaving, or knitting. We can also make non-woven fabrics from fibers directly. Textiles include all products made of fabrics or yarns, as well as fiber materials. These two pictures show some fiber bundles, yarns, and fabrics. They are all natural materials that ancient textiles are made from. Ancient textiles are made of natural fibers, including vegetable and animal fibers, which are easily carbonized and degraded. That is why they are difficult to be preserved. Under certain circumstances, the longer time a textile has been existing, the more fragile it will be. In this way, knowledge of ancient textiles is often ICH because materials themselves are always vanishing. Next. Some researchers in China have noticed the problems and difficulties of knowing ancient vanished textiles. We have used some methods to unveil the knowledge of vanished textiles indirectly. For example, we know knowledge of ancient textiles from ancient literature. Restore the methods of making textiles by researching ancient textile tools. The picture shows the ancient method of spinning yarns using a spindle oar. It is a hand spinning tool. It restores the method of spinning by researching on ancient spinning tool, which is often made of stone or pottery, that can exist for a longer time. Different from vanished ancient textiles, these kind of tools are often unearthed in archaeological sites. We can also investigate traditional ways of making textiles that still exist today, like some ethnic groups in China that still use ancient ways to make yarns and fabrics. To pass on the knowledge of ancient textiles as ICH, we published the results of our research and wrote them in a popularized way. We can also restore ancient textiles to show their characteristics. Next slide, please. Now we live in a world full of information and high technologies. Ways of media and communications are unprecedentedly various. As young people, we are more familiar with the internet and multimedia. We can spread information on the internet and show more people ICH. As for ancient textiles, we can easily draw pictures by using various drawing and painting applications, take photos or make videos with our electronic products to demonstrate their characteristics, or visualize the vanished part to more people. Pictures on this slide are all paintings of making textiles in traditional ways. The middle one is a photo which I took several years ago in China. It was painted on the wall that all people passing by could see that. I think it shows the traditional way of spinning yarns. It helps let more people know about ancient way of spinning. Next. We can also hold exhibitions and show ICH through the internet and multimedia. There are already some good examples on the internet. This picture is from the website of China Silk Museum. It is an exhibition of Chinese sericulture, ICH. I think it will attract more people to go to the museum and visit the exhibition. If we take good photos and share the information, we need to share those kinds of information, discuss about them, and develop new values together in the future. I believe more people will take notice of and become interested in ICH with the efforts of our young generation. That's all of my speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Zhang Xiao, for your presentation. And next up, the next presentation would be Akansha Tate from India, and she will be presenting on an attempt to promote and safeguard ICH experiences of an aspiring professional. Akansha, the floor is yours.
I will just. This is Akanksha Tatir, currently speaking from Ahmedabad, a city in the western state of Gujarat, India. I'd firstly like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share about my experiences, and also take a moment to thank my professors who've supported me throughout this process. Today, I'll be sharing my attempt to safeguard and promote ICH by illustrating my experiences as an aspiring heritage professional. To give a background about myself, next please. I'm a student of history and I'm currently pursuing my master's in heritage management. While I've always been interested in cultural institutions as promoters of ICH, I've also been interested in understanding more about different cultures and communities, their everyday practices, and how their heritage shapes the social identities. Next, please. I was passionate about studying the past that had been carried on into the present. I hope to understand the nuances of heritage and its management. Moreover, I wish to comprehend the role of individuals and organizations in managing the same. In order to do so, next slide please. I decided to join the Center for Heritage Management at Ahmedabad University. Here, I've had the opportunity to learn more about the international frameworks like the conventions for safeguarding of ICH, along with their contextualization in India. We also learned about the Indian system of governance for heritage management and frameworks that are implemented in the country. While we traversed through the discourses that have shaped the understanding of ICH, we also got insights into the management in cultural institutions like museums and archives. What stood out to me the most was a course on the management of indigenous and traditional knowledge systems. We got a chance to connect with heritage bearers, albeit virtually. We understood the multiple facets of intangible cultural heritage through storytelling traditions, vernacular building practices, livestock rearing practices, and witnessed the journey of a crop from its cultivation to weaving to a finished product, among other things. These academic courses have allowed me to hone my skills and develop my research interests. I'm interested in learning about the intersections between cultural memory, difficult heritage, and museum representation. I'm also interested in understanding how intangible cultural heritage is represented, safeguarded, and disseminated through cultural institutions. As someone who has grown up in the city of Mumbai, which is coastal city in Western India, I've also been inclined to understand the maritime cultural heritage of Kolis, a fishing community. I wish to understand how the cultural landscape of their fishing villages has transformed in dialogue with the larger urban fabric, and how the community and the settlements have contributed to the city's identity. With the center, I've also had the opportunity to engage in workshops and virtual summer schools, including those up in ICHCAP Field School on Post-Humanism in ICH, Silpakorn University International College's Summer School on Thai Culture and Heritage, and Goethe Institute Summer School on Cultural Management in the Digital Age to understand more about the management of ICH. While these co-curricular activities have been crucial in my understanding of the sector, it is with the internships that I've gained a practical experience. The Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, INTAX, ICH division is generally involved in documenting and promoting ICHF communities across the country. However, over the summer, I got a chance to virtually intern with them and work on taking their crowdsource initiative of My Heritage Archive to Instagram as a platform. I had the chance to connect with people, to encourage them to share about what constitutes their heritage and reflect on how it becomes a part of their everyday practices and community-based identities. I also had the opportunity to work with WIMOR, the Museum of Textiles, and plan more about their virtual outreach programs. The museum itself takes a subaltern perspective and hopes to trace the roots of migration, trade practices that shape the textile traditions. Next, I would like to talk about the Heritage Club at Ahmedabad University. It is an attempt to share and learn about the multiple facets of heritage. The student-led association is our way of spreading awareness about heritage at the university. The activities and initiatives of the club focus on connecting students from diverse backgrounds and reflect how heritage itself manifests for them. Through workshops, interactive sessions, both physical and virtual, we have focused on programs that connect students to heritage practitioners that promote their heritage. This has been done through understanding the nuances of festive traditions, learning folk arts like Matani Pacheri of Gujarat, or the traditional folk art, as you can see the first picture, that is kolam. All of these associations and experiences have shaped my journey as a heritage professional. Next slide, please. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity to be sharing about the same. From this summit, I wish to take away insights from heritage practitioners and professionals who have been managing, promoting, and safeguarding heritage practices and traditions. In the coming years, I wish to understand and be involved in promoting ICH through cultural institutions. I also wish to understand how digital platforms can be effectively used to promote cultural memory and ICH. Once again, thank you for giving me this platform, and I look forward to seeing the youth network strengthened to build connections and work together to promote ICH and tackle challenges as a community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentation, Akansha. Just appreciate for sharing your own stories and experiences. And next, I'd like to move on to the next speaker, Mr. Siwon Lee from Republic of Korea. He will be presenting on the importance of youth networking and how to develop the ICH youth forums in the future. So, Siwon Lee, the floor is yours. Please take it.
I'm Siwon Lee from South Korea. I'm the Secretary General of Intangible Cultural Heritage Youth Network. The purpose of my presentation today is the importance of youth networking and how to develop the ICH youth forums in the future. To begin with, some of you might know that the ICH Youth Network started from the 2020 World Forum for Intangible Cultural Heritage by preparing the presentation on the importance of youth networking. The network consisted of young people who love ICH, almost from 18 to 34, and they are engaged in various occupations such as bearers, performers, officers, scholars, along with others. By the way, full of youth organizations carry out diverse activities for safeguarding ICH in their ways by transmission, research, campaign, policymaking, and the like around the world. Moreover, the young generation is one of the most important stakeholders in sustainable development and also exuberant participants in many organizations, including UNESCO. Today, with the development of information and communication technology, it is possible to communicate in seconds on the other side of the earth. However, there is still a lack of international exchanges due to the exclusive nature of the ICH field and indifference or technical limitations of the local communities. Furthermore, many international stages are overflowing with programs and projects aimed at young people, but they do not contain voices of more diverse youth because of the trouble like information imbalances and income gaps. Of course, each community may have strong internal ties, but nonetheless, the world is gradually moving toward a hyper-connected, hyper-convergent, and hyper-diversity society. Therefore, we established this network to share and overcome the challenges faced by young generation in this field, and propose and practice more effective safeguard measures like cooperation. Our goals are to promote and sharing information, raising awareness, and building of to encouraging social participation of them actively from a public perspective, so that the lead in safeguarding ICH. We've done various activities such as ICH talks, newsletters, and campaigns, and also plan to organize online lectures, festivals, summer camps, and the like. We share all of these on our SNS. You can search ICH Youth Network on Facebook and Instagram. We've actually wished to organize and operate a youth forum which shares the thoughts and opinions of young people about ICH and to propose the derived contents to international conferences. Therefore, today's event will be encouraging not only to me and my colleagues, but also to the young who want to speak up. The ICH Youth Forums would proceed with discussions taking place on the topic of each hot keyword, and it could be meaningful and fruitful in itself. However, I want to suggest several things to embrace the voices of more various people and move toward a sustainable event. First of all, we have to lower the linguistic barriers. What I felt some case studies is that many young individuals or organizations carry out exemplary safeguarding activities, but there are no proper information exchanges because of the invisible barriers between us. I think, therefore, it would be nice if each country could support interpreters for these kinds of events. But I know that it's hard to, for some countries, to provide support due to lack of interest or budget. Then it would be better if the institutions like UNESCO and ICHCAP support interpreters when more than a certain size of people gathers and apply. It corresponds to interpretations for the disabled, such as sign language. Secondly, there is a need to continue the conversations from summits and forums to such programs and projects. Let's say, if some speakers propose any outstanding measures for safeguarding ICH, they could be practiced in reality, and therefore we could get a chance to apply them to other environments in the others region. For instance, we can create a base for discussion to develop the idea by planning a kind of workshop and plan a summer camp to learn or train the excellence of the cases for a specific reason. Lastly, to emphasize, it's critical to share the achievement with others. By necessity, it could simulate additional interest and creativity by allowing all kinds of accesses, regardless of age, gender, race, class, or income level. For example, we can use SNS such as Twitter and Instagram, and more official platforms such as ICH links or websites of related agencies. If it works out well, will lead to the influx of newcomers academy, and people can overcome many typical challenges much wisely. How you share your achievements with others is as crucial as how outstanding you perform. We need to think and cooperate seriously about that point. I want to express my deep gratitude to other participants from all over the world and ICHCAP making this priceless opportunity. I hope today's summit is fruitful and we can continue to network actively after this event. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. Our last presenter is the Chandra Tripura. Chandra Tripura will be presenting on perspectives on ICH safeguarding and transmissions.
I'm so sorry about the inconvenience. I'm not sure if I am on the center of the stage, but I will try to just present my presentation. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to represent not only indigenous youths from Bangladesh, but also all the Asia's indigenous youths. Well, ICH is really important to all of us, to individuals, groups, any communities, particularly indigenous communities, because we indigenous peoples around the world hold a rich diversity of living heritage, including practices, representation, expressions, knowledge, and skills. Ever since the adoption of the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2003, it is assumed that indigenous and the minority cultural rights have enjoyed increasing recognition. At the same time, they have been exposed to public discourses and homogenizing language that might detrimentally affect their right to access and participation in the creation of intangible cultural heritage and ultimately indigenous people's cultural life. Although the ICH Convention for Safeguarding was adopted to safeguard intangible cultural heritage, to ensure respect for it, to raise awareness about its importance, and to provide for international cooperation and assistance in these fields. But there is still a question that if all these objectives reflect and function in reality as promised or as it is supposed to. Now, I would like to highlight on how indigenous youths are thinking about the ICH safeguarding and its transmission. Can I see my slide? Next slide. No, the previous one. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, the previous one. Okay, so the convention has promised so many things that indigenous people's rights will be embodied in there. But when we think about intangible cultural heritage safeguarding and transmission, indigenous youth perceive it in a way that indigenous people's rights, free, prior, and informed consent, indigenous people's knowledge, values, wisdom, and culture will be recognized. And we also believe that representation, particularly indigenous people's representation, including indigenous youths, knowledge holders, and the cultural practitioners, representation will be ensured in both the Convention for Indigenous, for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage, as well as the overall processes, including policies for both national and international level processes. And not just representation, we also believe that the whole process will ensure meaningful participation of youth, women, indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, and other marginalized groups. Next slide, please. Now, along all the points, we also believe that there will be inclusiveness and the right strategy and long-term vision for a mutual trust, respect, and understanding, creative innovation and technology for a sustainable ICH safeguarding and transmission, and 4 C's, which is cooperation, number 1, 2 is collaboration, coordination, and collective action. We believe and we do practice our living heritage and intangible cultural heritage in this process. Next slide, please. Now next slide. Well, we have been practicing meaningfully our living cultural heritage, our traditional knowledge, but we do face a lot of challenges throughout the process. Number 1 is lack of recognition of indigenous people's rights, including in ICH Convention, which is we do found that there is no clear state strategy for recognizing indigenous people's rights, including free, prior, and informed consent in terms of indigenous people's rights, and using their cultures is not mentioned clearly in the ICH Convention. Number 2 is non-inclusion of indigenous people's representatives in country process of ICH safeguarding. Well, there is a process, we all know that, but in the process, indigenous peoples of most of the time left behind, and absence of inclusive policy for ICH safeguarding and transmission is also not there. And we see that no policy and action to ensure indigenous people's representation, particularly youth's representation in the ICH processes. And there is always exclusion of indigenous youths in ICH safeguarding processes, be it national level, be it international level. So lack of representation in ICH processes, including decision-making at all levels. Also, shortage of young experts on ICH is very much visible. There are also external forces, which is commodification and commercialization of ICH, tourism, globalization, for which we have been in that geoparadise of indigenous culture, indigenous heritages is happening around the world. Next slide, please. Well, now, the indigenous peoples, particularly indigenous youths, how they envision this whole intangible cultural heritage processes, particularly in terms of safeguarding and transmission. Well, we envision that there will be an inclusive youth network or platform for ICH safeguarding and transmission, and also an inclusive youth policy for effective and meaningful participation, and also a strategic and long-term vision through youth lens. We also feel the importance of research, documentation, and innovative action by the youth. There is a huge need for a global campaign as well, which will definitely easily ensure the safeguarding and transmission of intangible cultural heritage. There is lack of support for community youth-led actions. So we envision that through the youth network or platform will ensure the support, including financial support and technical support for community-led actions and capacity building for youths in ICH fields. And all these envisions will be able to achieve only when the recognition, protection, and promotion of Indigenous people's rights and inclusion of Indigenous youths in the ICH processes will be ensured. We always love to practice our culture, and we have been taught by our ancestors that we have to safeguard and protect our cultures and living heritage, which we are doing now through creative and innovative way. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. And she was the last presenter. So very much powerful, intriguing presentations. And actually, unfortunately, since the time is running almost over, I'm afraid to say this. If some of you keep your questions from the speakers, please send that me, and I will deliver the speaker to speaker that, and I'm going to answer you. So thank you once again for all speakers and your all efforts. So, and to next up, now it's time for the open table, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Siwon Lee for moderating this session. Mr. Siwon Lee is the president of ICH Youth Network from Republic of Korea. Please welcome him, and he will be moderating it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Yang. As you know, we received applications in advance before the event. 3 panels are gathered, and they will share their ideas for us. I hope my pronunciation is correct. I'd like to invite Dikish Parazapati, Susan Berberg, and Jansulu Isayeva to the stage. Please welcome. Susan, do you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can we just
what about me? Am I audible?
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and if you don't mind, we don't have enough time, so I'd appreciate it if you could answer briefly. First of all, is the ICH Youth Forum necessary? What topics will be coming up as a member of the ICH Youth Forum? And what would be the vision and direction of the Youth Forum? How do you envision the youth-led forum? And the last question is, how can we make specific activities to build cooperation among youth around the globe? Who can answer first?
Alright, I'll try to be
okay,
really
thank
brief.
you.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Please.
I'll try to be really brief and combine all the questions in one answer. First of all, I'd like to say that it was very insightful to hear all the presentations and get to know more about what is the situation in different parts of the world. I'd like to give my comments. Although I'm here in Korea, I'd like to give my comments from the perspective of the country of my origin, which is Kazakhstan. So I looked at it. It's actually 30th anniversary of my country's independence, which means that when there is anniversary, all the events are related to anniversary, and there are so many events planned for this year. And they said that the focus would be promoting national culture, traditions, and customs, as well as promoting healthy lifestyle, incorporating traditional sports and games. It all sounds so fascinating, but there is also an essential missing point in here.
So when they establish those plans, or in general when they develop cultural programs, any safeguarding policies, it's essential to include multiple voices, including the voice of the youth. So for institutions and heritage organizations to become more youth inclusive and incorporate recommendations directly from the youth, there should be a roadmap, sort of a referral point. Such platforms as today's summit and upcoming ICH Youth Forum, and Mr. Shion also mentioned about the ICH Youth Network. So I think those would help to create that space where the youth can share their own efforts, as well as learn from other communities, and as a result we can combine voices, gain strength, and most importantly put forward their recommendations. It is very important because in most societies those voices are present but very scattered. So ICH Youth Network and Forum can become such a platform. As for its functioning, it can operate in a number of ways by providing sessions, workshops to inspire the fellow youth to take their projects off the ground. Even with no direct engagement, there would be a natural byproduct of the network, which is about planting a seed of inspiration for members to pursue leadership positions. And last but not least, I'd like to refer to what the keynote speaker, Dr. Han, mentioned about being inclusive, collaborative, take actions, and advocate. I think it's very important for youth community itself being an example of the inclusiveness by opening up not only for the fellow people who are into ICH, who are from like a cultural background, but also to the people from different backgrounds, like public health, let's say, or engineers. So I think both hands they can generate more ideas and bring more to the table. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Chancellor. And who can answer next?
Hi, thank you for having me. And like it was very inspiring, like listening to every other speaker talking how passionately they want to do things that they are doing for the preservation of culture. Hi, I'm Dikish Prajapati, and like just to I'll just be brief about all those three questions, and I'll try to sum up with things that you guys have not heard during the old presentation and what my fellow the panelists just like discussed about being inclusive and everything. So regarding the first two questions, is ICH Youth Forum necessary? Yes, it is, because like youth today are the today struggles to embody their identity and culture hand in hand with globalization. I think it is the right time and high time that we work on the notion of promotion and preservation of cultures and tradition. And if we don't act today, there would be very little tomorrow, and maybe the day after, none is going to be left. And what kind of topics are going to come up with the members of Youth Forum could be like best practices among the members to communicate better, and like how we can actually maintain our cultural tradition by sharing it with other members, and also a little bit about policy making around cultural heritage management and how we can work with the governing bodies, authorities to help, or like how we can easily approach them to work along with them. Because and along with that, what I want to add to the vision and direction of Youth Forum is that yes, it should be very inclusive, like every other people are saying, like not leaving no one behind, but also to respect traditional knowledge of the traditional knowledge, not just the science, those knowledge that come from scientific research and academic forums. Because like myself, I belong to Indigenous community, and like traditional knowledge often values more contextual and holistic view of information through observation and thought, rather than just a piecemeal explanation. And just because it's not scientifically proven doesn't mean it's wrong, comparing to like contemporary scientific knowledge and processes. So if just because the knowledge doesn't come from scientific research, it should not be rejected. And like if anyone had like cared to listen or look what has been our ancestors like in our indigenous community, our ancestors has been recording through languages, and they've been protecting the most endangered rare species of plants and animals. And so like if we could include everything, like even the traditional knowledge to safeguard our culture, like I think that's going to be more helpful, because we in indigenous community, that's what we plan on protecting. We've been doing that like from generation to generation, and like now that like everything is being very globalized and modernized, these intergenerational skills are also not being easily transmitted to the younger generation. So it's very important that we have an open mind towards this as well. And about being more specific about the activities to build cooperation between youth around the globe, I think it's very important for us to keep on like organizing these kinds of events, like maybe regional dialogues, workshops, also maybe like regional film festival, music exhibition, art mela, so that we can actually share about our culture with the mainstream population, and also to learn from one another and like respect each other's culture, so that we understand each other better, and like live in a place where everyone is heard and everyone is equally respected. And also like multi-layered awareness campaigns where the youth youth can actually understand why is it necessary for them to not forget their roots and like embody their identity, as well as to hold the old generation accountable to like pass on the knowledge, skills to the younger generation more responsibly. So I would like to end saying with, yeah, we've just got to be very mindful about everything and like include every other cultural practitioner involved, like present here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dikish. And last, Susan, could you tell us, please?
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me at this Youth Summit. I am tuning in from the Netherlands. I'm Suzanne, and I work as a researcher at the Dutch Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage. I'm very excited that you are creating a youth-led platform. I don't know if these kinds of plans are already in Europe, but if they're not, we really should take action. Because I really think that such a youth forum is necessary, because the younger generation has another view on ICH. And it's really empowering to share those ideas about ICH with other young people. For example, in the Netherlands, we see a trend that young practitioners are looking more into the history of ICH practices and want to revive older techniques and more sustainable materials. For example, in the craft of the miller. And they organized a youth panel with each other and are really exchanging ideas around this. And also, to go on further on this peer review idea, I think sometimes as a young professional or a young practitioner, you have a really great idea, but you don't really know how to implement it. So if this forum could be a place to pitch and develop safeguarding actions, I think that would be very great. And that is also something that is very much part of the European Young Professionals Forum, which I joined in 2019 and was organized by UNESCO. And one of the main parts of this program were project laboratories. And every day we sat in small groups and really discussed how projects around ICH or tangible heritage projects could really develop into concrete actions. So for the direction and vision for the Youth Forum, I envision that the members of this forum are really cultural messengers. which was also pitched in the Zadar forum. And I really like this term because it gives young people agency and it's a call to action. I think the best way to get youth engaged is by following the example of other youths. So if this platform could focus on other youths and together make statements about our views on ICH, because as the keynote speaker also mentioned, together you stand much stronger. And for specific actions, well, as I was saying, it could be a place to share ideas and start organizing activities. In my experience, when you are working in a young, enthusiastic group, you have to work on a common project. That's the best way to keep everyone engaged and prevents the platform in transforming in a sleeping platform. If you have a common goal, it's good for the engagement. A few years ago, we started a youth-led platform in the Netherlands for youth who are interested in both tangible and intangible heritage. And we also work on supporting each other in the heritage fields, like, for instance, point out vacancies or organize activities, and collaborate with other organizations who are very willing and eager to work with young people. But at the same time, with this network, it is very important to keep exchanging expectations with the members. Because with working with young people, it takes time to build relationships, and if you build on those relationships, you can really build a strong network. So it takes a little bit of patience, I think, but if you have this network and a network of young people that really are engaged and active in organizing activities, this could really work. And when you have this strong group, your message will also be clearer. So that is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Dikesh, Jansalu, Susan, and Susan. Well, I'd like to hand over the microphone to the other participants. However, it's a pity that we don't have enough time, and therefore, I think we should wrap up the open table now. Some people also left their opinions through messages or email. If you have anything else to say, you can share it on WhatsApp or email to Yen. After this meeting, she will share those suggestions which not been introduced. I hope that the rest of our conversations will continue through networking afterwards in the future. Once again, I really appreciate all of you suggesting and sharing priceless ideas for this event. The summit is coming over to an end. I'd like to bring Yen back to the floor. Yen?
Thank you. Many thanks to all the panelists for your active participation, and thanks to Mr. Lee as well. We had a thoughtful discussion on the role of youth in safeguarding ICH in the modern society. So now, in order to maintain sustainable cooperation between youth and establish a new youth network in the ICH field, the Declaration on Youth-Led Forum Operation should be reviewed by youth participants. I hope you already received and went over the declaration document that I had sent all of you to yesterday. We have very great suggestions from some of you to this document. We will email you the final documents with editing some of your comments, so please confirm it. By this, I will end today's 2021 Intangible Cultural Heritage Youth Summit. My sincere thanks to all the speakers and panelists and observers. During discussion in the Engage platform was unfamiliar to all of us, but in spite of the this unfamiliarity, all the presentations and the discussions were exceeding one's expectations. I fell into the discussion. Yeah, I do hope all the audiences felt that too. Last but not least, tomorrow a special session of the 2021 World Forum for Intangible Cultural Heritage will be held to summarize the contents discussed at this youth summit and share with the audiences. So now we will close 2021 Intangible Cultural Heritage Youth Summit and hope to meet you all next year. And I will be emailing all of you with the final documents. And thank you all for joining us today and have a good rest of the day. Bye.